The Golden State Warriors have looked great early in the regular season, just as they did in the preseason. And this is in spite of the fact that last year, of course, the Warriors were not particularly good, and then the additions that they made this offseason also are not some outstanding level talents. It's just a handful of solid role players who are like $3 to $5 million per year tier guys, and it's really not that big of an addition. And honestly, looking at it from a pure talent perspective, you could probably argue that the Warriors got worse in the talent department. However, this team is significantly better here from pretty much every angle. And how would that be if their talent really didn't change all that much, if not got worse? Well, it's because the players that they exchanged out are role players who fit perfectly in the Golden State Warriors / Stephen Curry system. Before I continue on with this video, about half of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you fall in the 50%, then please subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. I am trying to hit 200k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. A couple of months ago, my pace for hitting 200k by the end of the year was like all but a guarantee. Now, not so much, so if you could do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. But anyways, on with the video. The Warriors last year had a bench that was completely lacking in depth and starters who were frankly lacking in feel for the game. Guys like Kelly Oubre and Kent Bazemore really just did not work with this team, so it always devolved into a Stephen Curry one-man show. Any play that was created by Steph. He was the only guy who could create his own shot, save for like a contested Andrew Wiggins mid-range jump shot, completely unnecessary and not good enough to be taking them Kent Bazemore mid-range pull-up, or what's the last one? Oh yeah, Kelly Oubre driving into 3 defenders with no plan whatsoever, and then also missing obvious passes. I'm not even joking, there are a million different clips of Kelly from his season with the Warriors where he took on 2 defenders and like Steph was open. Just mind-numbingly stupid things. I'm sorry to criticize you, Kelly, you're still pretty. Now, while the Warriors are still a significantly better team offensively with Steph Curry on the floor, because I mean, it's Steph Curry, that's just kind of always going to be the nature of your team. The team also is not as reliant on Steph as they used to be, and they're a significantly better offensive team with Steph alongside him on the floor than they were with Steph. There is a very clear distinction with what is going on around Steph Curry when he's on the floor previous to what was going on around him in last year. Guys like Nemanja Bjelica, Otto Porter Jr., and the return of Andre Iguodala are all making plays constantly, not just for Steph, but for other players on the team. It's very frequent to see Steph not really all that involved in an offensive possession, but the team around him creates offense for themselves, and that's something you very rarely saw with last year's Warriors. Also, the players who fit that system last year, like Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Lee, and Jordan Poole, are back. The Warriors this offseason cut out the players that did not fit within the system, a system that emphasizes shooting and playmaking, replaced those players with players who are arguably worse talents but fit the team significantly better, because Kelly Oubre is a better player than anyone the Warriors added by far, but those players all fit, so that's the real difference maker. And they kept around the players that actually fit. I've said a million times now talking about the Warriors that the team at the end of the year was a lot better because Jordan Poole and Juan Toscano-Anderson were the most prominent players in the rotation to close the year. Obviously not more prominent than like Steph and Draymond, but they became very prominent, and those players fit the system a whole lot better, and it worked out for the Warriors being better to close the year. But as mentioned, the Dubs did not get a whole lot better in the talent department. Where they got better was the fit department, and I think there is a lesson to be learned here. The value of a very good system that has the pieces around it that fit within that system. This early on in the year is really showcasing the value of team basketball. Not just talent on an NBA roster. Ironically, in terms of players within the Warriors system who are big with the minutes this year, the one who's the most divergent from that system is Jordan Poole, simply because he likes to take crazy shots and he's not the greatest playmaker in the world. He still fits, but it's just interesting that even though he's the breakout player for them, he's also the one who sometimes kind of messes with things. But really, that just goes to show how much everything else is fitting, that he is standing out as one who doesn't necessarily fit all the time, because he still does fit, just not quite as seamlessly as some of the other guys. And it's worth it because the scoring punch that he brings to the table, but I just thought that was interesting. But all of this has culminated into the Warriors being the 10th best offense in the league through 2 games. Small sample size, but I think this is something that will persist. And the difference between this year and last year is the Warriors were 20th in offense. Now, what is interesting is their offensive rating is actually lower than it was last year, but the entire league's offensive rating is down 6-ish points right now. So that's a thing that's going on league-wide. So by comparison to the competition, the Warriors are still an elite offensive team. If you want to see why the team's offensive rating has gone down a little bit, check out my video from Monday where I was talking about free throws and how that has changed with the game this year. But the point is, the Warriors this year, good offensive team, and then they have maintained the fantastic defense that they had last year. This Dubs team is packed up and down with players who have a really good feel for the game, a good jump shot, and good defense, and just fit with everything that the Warriors have tried to do over the past couple of years. The Steph Curry Warriors system is a very successful one, and what they were doing around Steph over the previous year was not really conducive to that system. So the Warriors have retreated back to what was working before with players who work within what was working before, and the results speak for themselves. And with them looking as good as they do right now, I honestly think with Klay coming back, even if he's not as good as he ends up being, as I have been talking about that as a possibility, and I don't feel like people are talking about that as a possibility enough, but even if Klay comes back at like 70% of what he was, I think the Warriors are a contender. Like, they're already kind of a good-ass team. Like, I think this Warriors team can win 50 games, which is not that crazy of a take, being that they were a 44-win pace last year. They just played 72 games, obviously. But, you know, a 6-game leap with how much this roster has improved internally, with how much the system has changed, with these role players who fit within the system, I genuinely think this Warriors team is a good playoff team right now. And then you add Klay Thompson to that equation, and presuming that he is not bad, then yeah, you're probably getting into contender talk. Now, I would not put them among the league's best in the contender category. There's certainly 3 or 4, maybe 5 teams that I would take over the Warriors. That said, they will be in that conversation, assuming that Klay comes back and he's not just way worse than we knew him to be. So there's an important lesson here with the Warriors, and I think it's going to continue to showcase throughout the year that when you have a winning formula, try to stick to that formula. And if you have a system that works, try and get players that fit that system, because talent is not the lone factor in basketball. If you have players who are less talented, but they're going to fit with what you're trying to do, you're going to have better results, and the Warriors have thus far. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, but that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.